Tough one. It's from our friend Wedge. Okay, so the question from Wedge is, how do we convince managers to move away from department-structured navigation and towards task-based menus?
And just to move it up, I don't want the same person to start every time, so we're going to do a rotational answering. So this time, Cornelis, you get to go first, and we work around.
Thank you, William. That's not an easy question, I think. But it really sounds like something that has to start high up in the organization. So I think if it's possible for you to create a convincing story for your leadership of your company, what the problems are from business perspective with the current situation, I think it's possible to define what the impact is in terms of lack of collaboration, redundant work being done in different silos in the organization. If you can make a convincing story for that to the leadership team with a solution of how you want to solve that, I think that's the approach you should try to take. And then finding a high executive sponsor in your company who will be supporting that work.
Anyone else on the panel wish to take that question? Christy, would you like to go next?
I'm not so sure that it's about convincing management as it is about, I guess, working with your employees and doing what makes sense for them. I know one thing with our intranet, since we've got metrics that we found, is a lot of the things that our employees are doing are very task-based. They're using our intranet to get to those very task-oriented work tools that they use. So one of the things that we're looking at is customizing the homepage so that they can get easier access to those tools. So while we might still have information organized by department area and in some areas of our intranet, we're also looking at making the homepage more of a dashboard where you can go to easily access those tools that you need on a daily basis.
Martin?
I very much agree with what Christy says. Sometimes it makes sense to remain in the departmental universe, so to speak. But in my opinion, it all comes down to how mature the organization is and whether you can actually look beyond those departmental silos, because they need to. Still, the organization needs to find themselves within the structure. They need to feel comfortable. But then again, tasks are important, so they need to be very obvious. Actually, this is a very interesting question and a very interesting debate, because we are struggling with this at the moment. So, yeah, very interesting.
Julian, please.
I repeat what Martin said, actually. I think it's a particularly difficult issue. When you first asked the question, Joshua, my answer in my head was with difficulty. I was going to leave it there. But and it's a combination of things. I think that the way to try and do it is to talk to your departmental heads about the user. What do they want to get out of, or how do they want to work? What's the best way for them to find the information that these departmental heads own? And try and put it in that context. So it's about the user, not the department. And it might be worth saying that a lot of people do still think along departmental lines, so they'll naturally go to the department. So I think that's it's a balance to be struck. You can go too far the wrong way if you're not careful.
Gabriel, I know you've been wanting to answer this question, so please do so.
Very good. Thank you. It was great to have that question. And my answer is that number one is, well, I have done it. We have done it in Tetra Pak. So now all the managers in Tetra Pak believe that task-based is the method forward. And how did we do that? Basically, I would say a couple of things. Somebody talked about governance. That's important, to start with the top governance, to have people understanding from the very top down. But basically, how do you get them on board? It is, if you talk about users and usability, when you talk about it, everybody nods and says, yes, of course, yes, of course, yes, of course. They all do. However, sometimes it's problematic for them to understand how to do it. But we got them nodding, and then we started in small steps, as somebody said earlier, small steps, and demonstrated. And we measured, and out of the measurements came a lot of facts. Things that we heard earlier today, efficiency, solving tasks, time saving, etc. And those facts are now, we have a lot of them, are now the very best and very simplest argument to convince them. You can show 100 slides, then you put a couple of slides with the facts on task completion rate or time efficiency. Then they're on. as somebody said earlier today, just a minute ago, like, it's all about money. They want to see money, efficiency, etc. So starting small, measuring, get the facts, and if the facts are positive, use them.